Hey, hey.
Hi, guys.
Well, guys, welcome to episode number 42 of the Friday Fraudster. Today's topic, can I adopt a million? Like, really, can I? Kelly, Joe, do you guys have pets?
Yes.
Did you get any pets from the adoption agency?
Yeah,
You did?
yeah. I have a foster fail, a street dog from Mexico.
And you take very good care of your pets, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yes, yes. I'm assuming that everyone takes very good care of their pets, but here's what I'd like to know. I would just like to know if I could just adopt $1 million. I promise you, I will take good care of it. I will clothe it, I'll bathe it, I'll feed it. Just let me.
Everybody thinks this is a dog story now because you're talking about dogs.
Or a cat. I mean, I just want to adopt $1 million. That's
Mhm.
all.
So you're trying
All
to
right.
throw everybody off.
Well, that's just kind of what I do. We've got people coming in today very, very early. And Kelly's in the chat too. Kelly says it's a beautiful day in Bend. And Pozo is here from New York City. Pozo, I bet it's real cold there. And my man Clarence says TGIF because we all know that Friday is one of Clarence's favorite days. We know how much Clarence loves Friday. And Charlene is here from Brooklyn.
New York.
Clarence says he hopes that everyone is doing well.
All we need is Joe Horowitz from Long Island, and we would be kind of covered.
There you go. There you go. And Danielle is here. Danielle, how have you been? We haven't seen you here in a while. Maybe you've just been listening and lurking, but good to see you.
Danielle's in snowy Colorado with me.
Ah,
Mhm.
ah. Oh, there we go. Thomas says, must be a dog story. Cats would just look at you until you felt too guilty for the fraud and return the money. Oh my goodness. And Leslie, wherever you are, it is raining. Where's Leslie? You guys remember where Leslie is?
North Carolina? I'm
Ah,
pretty sure.
okay.
Yep.
And our Florida man is here. You know what? We've got enough people in here now to where I think we should talk about leveling up your internal audit skills. You see, it's 2022, and everyone needs to do what they can to make sure that they can be the best professional that they can be. And if you want to level up your internal audit skills, I got something for you. I've got five, not one, not two, not three, five free CPE credits for you. Five of them, you guys. Now, check this out. You need to attend the Level Up Internal Audit Summit. Here's what I'll say. It's put on by Sabine Charles with her TAPA Institute, and I'll be there. But here's what's even better. If you guys don't like me, Joe will be there. Wait a minute, I'm pointing the wrong way. Joe will be there. So here's what it is, though. It is February 16th and 17th from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it is 100% free. Here's the website, levelupinternalauditsummit.com. But don't go there now. Don't go there now. You've got to finish the rest of the show with us. Believe me, I will remind you before the show is over. And I'm going to drop it in the chat right now. And for those of you who just want to go now and be traders, you can go now. But there's the link. I just
What
dropped
are
it.
you what are you talking about on that one, Rob? Influencing?
I am talking about the 5 critical elements for quality questions.
That's right. Question.
Yes. What
Love
are you
that.
talking about, Joe?
I am doing how internal auditors can eliminate the waste. So we're going to talk
Ooh.
about 8 forms of waste that I am guessing, at least a couple, if not all, are present in your internal audit function. So we're going to talk about how to get rid of them. It's going to be good.
We're going to get rid of the waste, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, check this out. Leslie said that she's already signed up. Go
Awesome.
ahead, Leslie. It is going to be good to see you there. All right. So, look, I started today saying I wanted to adopt $1 million. I mean, look, just anybody out there with an extra million to spare, you can just hand it over. So, let's talk about what happened here. Listen, in March of 2018, a bank representative called up someone at the Journeys of Heart Adoption and Surrogacy Agency to inquire about some checks. Here's what they said: the signature on the checks looked fraudulent. Now, I remember a few episodes back where we asked, do banks actually check signatures? Apparently, this bank does and did, because the checks looked fraudulent. And guess what? They were. How do you steal from an adoption agency, a pet adoption agency? So here's what happened. Melody Ann Eklund, age 56, stole funds from the business account using their own computer. And she made, Hal, you're going to like this, wire transfers to her personal bank account. And she also wrote checks to herself. She even gave herself bonuses. So not only did she steal from them, just, outright stealing, but some of them she labeled as bonuses. So now let's talk about how she actually did it. Because there are a few things that, are going to make for a very interesting discussion here. So the first thing they said she did was, in order to cover up her fraud, she applied for loans from at least 5 lending agencies on behalf of the adoption agency. And what she did was she used the owners' names without their permission, but she took it a step further too. She altered financial records to make it appear as though she owned the agency and was authorized to enter into the loan agreements. Now, that's one of the things that she did. Now, what do you guys think about that?
So my
Or
sister tried to adopt a child a long time ago, and they took off with their money. And victims all over the United States, and it was only like $3,000, but like that's the problem, is it's just $3,000, but
Yeah.
multiply that out, and
mhm.
it was devastating, like emotionally devastating. So
Oh, wow.
These
yeah,
are those ones where they like just disgust you because of, it's like when we talk about the healthcare frauds or, all of those, it's like the scandals that really bother you. This is one of them.
yeah.
Yeah, it really does. They
There
also,
is another story about the adoption agency, so I have a feeling there might not be a great tone at the top. Not that it would negate any of what she did, but there is another story about adoption, and yeah, so it's just sad all the way around.
ooh. So they say that she also maintained 2 separate QuickBook files on her computer. And so she maintained 2 separate set of books. So it sounds like she had control over a lot of different things, which kind of goes back to the segregation of duties. But she actually applied for and received loans on behalf of the company by faking the identity of the owners for the adoption agency. Now, Thomas said that he signed up for the summit and it only took 30 seconds. You traitor. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Now, he's getting there. Hal said Disney World trips and wire fraud. Haven't we heard this before? I
Groundhog
think we've
Day.
heard it.
Yeah, I mean, she said she had to do it to take care of her family. I think Disney World is part of taking care of your family. Don't you in the mind of a fraudster? I don't know. It's like a necessity. Groceries, gasoline, Disney World. I don't know.
And I bet she stayed on park.
Oh,
She
I'm
didn't
sure.
stay. It was so funny. I interviewed someone the other day who works at Disney, and I said something about going to Disney, and I said the second time we went to Grand California, and she's like, "Wow, that's." I'm like, "It was one night. That was it, one night." So
Yeah.
she's like, "That's our most expensive property," and I was like, "Yeah, I know, but it was one night only."
All right. So you guys, what Joe is referring to is one of the news articles, uh, when they asked her why she did it, she said, well, she's a mother of 2 and a grandmother of 3, and she started stealing from her employer because she was heavily in debt and felt compelled to provide for her grandchildren and her children. Now, her children are all grown. That's what her defense attorney said. But at the same time, she used the stolen money for household expenses, retail expenses, family support, debt, some travel, and repayment of stolen funds. We're going to get into that one in just a minute because that one is quite interesting. As a matter of fact, let's just go there now. In an attempt to cover up the fraud and the money that she was stealing, she stole money from an account belonging to the estate of her deceased brother in law. She then transferred that money to the adoption agency's bank account by forging her husband's signature.
I love this. This is to me the best twist of this story, because we don't often do stories where the person tries to pay it back by stealing from someone else. And I just was like, when I read that, I was like, are you kidding me right now? So yeah, she basically stole from her husband. So Kelly can tell us all about husbands and wives. They can't trust each other in business. Oh.
Yeah.
Uh,
So this is one of these things where um, whoever interviewed her, I'm going to say that when she got interviewed and the gives up, there was this, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. It's over. It's like, and hopefully they used empathy and all sorts of things to get all the information out of her, because the fact that she'd forged her husband's name, desperation, it's so much desperation. Because again, like if you're a crook, do you think Bernie Madoff tried to pay his stuff back? No.
no.
Like, but a person like this, no criminal history, she knows the gig is up and she is just panicked. I can see her. Okay, so this case took place where I used to be the fraud analyst. And I could see her driving around Hillsborough like, "Oh my god, I'll go get that check." And, I literally can feel her fear.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I mean, you brought up Bernie Madoff right as everybody in the comments started talking about, a Ponzi scheme, right? I mean, trying. Pozo said robbing Peter to pay Annie. I love it.
So,
Let's bring a girl into it.
She
I love
probably figured her husband wouldn't put her in prison for
Yes.
forging his name, but she was like, "But they're going to put me in prison." She's like, "I can deal with my husband, but I can't deal with the cops."
I was
yeah.
thinking that too. I was thinking she, in her mind, thought that that was her money that she was using to pay back, right? So that was her restitution in her mind. But
Yep.
how much
Yep.
money? She's getting a divorce now too. Was there anything about that in the article? I didn't see
I
that.
didn't see that, but Hal says a reverse Ponzi scheme, stealing back stolen funds. But yeah, I'm pretty sure she's probably getting a divorce right about now. So,
And
but
I guess for me, I talk a lot about like who's watching our behavior in my ethics trainings. And one of the things I always say, I mean, you may not have kids or grandkids, but you have some sort of child in your life, or what your parents think of you is very important to you, or what your grandparents would think if they saw your behavior. You know, I just wish I could talk to this lady and say, you think you're taking care of your kids and your grandkids. Did it ever cross your mind, what would they think of me if I got caught and I was on the front page of the paper because of this? I mean, I think that's, I mean, even Andy Fastow, who we all know, the former CFO of Enron, said that if 99%, or if everyone at Enron had thought they were leaving the business to their kids or their grandkids or whoever, it would have solved 99% of the problems at Enron. Well, I don't know if that's the case, but I still will say I love that thought process. Think about that. And obviously she wasn't thinking too far ahead there.
It's the thinking fast and slow, Danny Kahneman. It's the lizard brain versus the ethical brain. And, in the heat of the moment, she's like, there's a great deal for Disneyland through Costco. I'm going to do it. And it's just it's that, Homer versus Spock. Yeah. We can't,
By
our
the
lizard
way,
brain can't take over.
I'm going to do that book as a book club. I've
Ooh.
had like 5 people recommend that book to me, including you, Kelly. Now, so I'm like,
oh
it's
wow.
on my list. I'm going to get through the next one in February, and then Pozo is going to be on in April.
Ooh.
Her book. And then, so then we're going to move to that book and then Drive by Daniel Pink. So anyway,
I
good
love
stuff.
Drive. Oh,
Oh,
I have it
nice.
right here somewhere.
There's my selfish book club plug.
Well, you know, while we're here, let's just go ahead and tell the people what we're talking about. Joe does a CPE book club where, guess what? You don't have to read the book. Joe reads the book and then tells you everything that you need to know, and you get CPE credit for it. Joe, what's that website?
It is cpebookclub.com, and I am going to drop a link directly to the next one, which is called Technology Ethics is Broken. So it is all about the book System Error, and we're going to talk about that elusive tech and Silicon Valley mindset of optimization and where ethics has kind of gone wrong in Silicon Valley. So it's going to be great. Join us.
Nice. All
February
right,
20th.
so let's get back to our adoption agency because check this out. She did some other things too. Beginning in 2016, she stopped making the agency's quarterly employment tax payments to the IRS, and she stopped filing the tax returns. So as a result, the agency owes the IRS $94,000 in past due taxes. You know, I think the IRS is one group of people that you don't really mess with. Uh, but hopefully they'll give some leniency to the agency because they were victims, because she was a bookkeeper there from 2011 to 2018.
So she didn't steal the whole time. I mean, maybe she did, but I'm thinking she didn't.
But a lot of money. That's what I was thinking. Even so, I always tell my husband about these, and he said $1.5 million. That's a big chunk of change. I mean,
Yes,
that always gets me how clearly uninvolved people must be to not catch that much money being stolen. I mean, this cannot be a huge company. I don't
You
know.
know what? I'm going to
Googled.
Portland next week. I'm going to Portland next week. Maybe I can do On the Road with Kelly at the Journeys of the Heart Adoption Agency, and we'll take a little picture.
I mean, I'm on their website right now. I mean, I just don't imagine that they're a huge, I don't know, that they make that much profit. It's a nonprofit.
yeah.
How does any amount of money go missing? Like, these people have way too high of a materiality threshold. I'm telling you, that they're looking at. I don't get it.
You know, I tell
Which
you
one of
what.
the Big Four audited them?
Good question.
Yeah, I tell you what. So, you guys know me. The thoughts always run through my head. How could this have happened? And of course, it's always too much trust in one person. But she was the bookkeeper, which means she had access to the bank account. She probably had access to the payroll and the accounts payable, and she was filing the tax returns. At least she was doing the payroll tax. We know that for a fact. But what struck me as odd, and I guess odd in a good way, was there must have been some sort of separation somewhere because the bank, when they saw that the checks had a forged signature on them, they called the owners of the agency, not the bookkeeper. So there was some separation there. But also, my thought is they must not have had an electronic signature for the checks as well. So the owners must have been signing each of the checks because an electronic signature would have just put it on the check and no one would have been the wiser. So it sounds like the owners were somewhat hands-on in the agency, but still somewhat hands-off because they placed a lot of trust in this individual.
Well, although, in thinking about what you already told us, how she kept literally 2 sets of QuickBooks, I mean, obviously she was just flat out lying to the owner. So
Yeah,
unless they go into the bank account directly, which clearly they probably weren't, they were relying on the QuickBooks reporting she was providing them, right? So
right.
yeah.
But I say kudos to the bank employee who noticed that the signatures were off.
Yeah, we've talked about this so many times. The banks typically, they kind of take this hands-off approach, right? Not sadly to me, they don't act as fiduciaries like they should, acting like this is my money, we're going to take care of it as if it's my money, kind of golden rule ethics in my mind. Too many banks kind of say, "Oh, not my problem. We're just the processors, right? We're just doing it." And so I'm with you, Rob. I think it's a good bank.
Yeah. And Pozo makes the point. The banks save the day. Nonprofits put too much trust in
Yep,
financial professionals.
very
And
true.
and is Pat, and I'm gonna forget her last name. She's in the what? She's in the like Buffalo ACFE. No money, no mission.
Yeah,
Ah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, nonprofits. Yeah.
Yeah. Small world. This is so funny. Totally off topic. But Pat, who's in the ACFE, she's an accounting professor. She was at a nonprofit event and she starts talking. My sister-in-law is sitting next to her and she introduces herself and she's like, "Hey, do you know Kelly Paxton?" And all of a sudden I get all these emails. It was really pretty funny. This is how small the world of fraud is.
That is.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Okay, so now we just told you guys earlier kind of the sob story where she said she was what they said her attorney said she was in debt and needed the money because she was in debt. Apparently she gave gifts and paid for living expenses for her adult children. She had trips to Hawaii and Mexico and Kelly's favorite place, Disney World. She bought tickets to events. She did buy some groceries and had household items and living expenses that she paid for as well. But there was a trip to Disney World.
Of course there was.
Not Vegas. That's Kelly's second favorite place.
Or concerts. Did she go to a concert?
She went to events, is what it said, and I'm
Oh,
assuming some of them were probably concerts, you know?
yeah.
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 So I just, yeah.
Well, you
Now,
guys, oh, go ahead.
oh, go ahead, Joe.
No, go ahead.
So now the question is, what happened? What did she plead to? She pleaded guilty to Hal's favorite, wire fraud, which in this case, it really was wire fraud, aggravated identity theft, which yeah, filing a false tax return. I was wondering about that one because it said that she stopped filing them. So if she stopped filing it, is that a false one? So at some point she must have filed a false one and willfully failing to collect or pay payroll taxes. And she was ordered to pay more than $1.6 million in restitution.
I could go to Coffee Creek. So you know what she says here? This is so funny. No, it's not funny because these aren't funny guys. I want to right my wrong, and I don't feel as if I will be given that opportunity to do that if I am incarcerated. Let's change that if to when I am incarcerated. Like
Yeah.
she's going to prison, and maybe I can go visit her. It's really not very far from me.
And keep going, Kelly. It says, "I promise to work every day to become a more honest, trustworthy person." I think that ship has sailed, lady. I mean, I'm all about people changing, but yeah, of course you are going to say that now.
Well, but here's another piece to the story too. So let's talk about the judge for just one moment. Um, U.S. District Judge Marco A. Hernandez said that he considered that the fraud spanned about 8 years and affected multiple victims. He said he also took into account the COVID-19 pandemic as a mitigating factor when deciding her sentence. So now, for those of you who don't know, her sentence was or is 4.5 years in federal prison.
Oh, you know what? This is interesting. This case went federal. It didn't go local. So she isn't going to be at Coffee Creek. She's going to be somewhere else. I might have to drive farther. I
Uh,
don't know where a women's prison is, a federal one on the West Coast. I mean, I'm sure there is one, but
Kelly, we don't want you to go visit her.
what's interesting though, what do you think made it go federal? What could it have been the tax charge?
I think it's probably the tax. So when it says she filed a false return, they meant her personal return. She didn't. No one except Nathan Mueller pays taxes on their stolen money. And that's like wire fraud, Hal. Failing to pay taxes on your stolen money, that's another wire fraud. It's just the same. It's an easy.
They just tack that on to to all of them except for Nathan Mueller. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
So, okay, so today, you guys, a bookkeeper for a pet adoption agency, was able to steal over $1.6 million
It's not
from
a
that
pet
agency.
adoption
It's
agency. We're
real.
good.
That's why I was like, what, Rob? There's no dogs involved in this. These are real human children.
You know what? I'm so sorry. You're right. You're right. And you know what? So I've got queued up a bunch of other stories for us, and one of them is a pet adoption agency. And in my mind, when I was preparing for this one, I was thinking pet. And anyway, I'm doing better about lining our stories up. So I'm confusing one with the one that's coming up in about 3 weeks. So
So if everybody else in the on the live was confused, so were Kelly and I. We're like, why are there dogs in the like promo video? I don't get it.
my bad, you guys. I'm so
There's
Maybe
always
we should send her a fruitcake in prison, Hal. We could send her a fruitcake.
I love it. Oh my god. There's never a dull moment on Friday Fraudster.
Right. So the bookkeeper was able to steal $1.5 million from the adoption agency, primarily because, again, lack of segregation of duties. She just transferred that money via wire transfer from her account. Here's what's interesting though. I wonder how long she could have committed the fraud if she had not done some of it via check. Because she got caught because of the checks and she was doing them via wire as well. So I wonder how long she could have gotten away with it.
Good question. All sorts of Disney jokes today. I like it.
That was a good one. Kelly said instead of fast pass at Disney, it should be fraud pass.
And they should be pink.
So Kelly, yeah. So Kelly, when you said Joe fraud trip, are we going to Disney? I love it.
You've got to
Oh
go
my
to
gosh, you know
Vegas.
what's so funny, you guys? I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and I said that I'm going to go to the pistachio. When I started Friday Fraudster a long, long time ago, the world's largest pistachio statue, they got ripped off. And my friend said her niece went to the pistachio, and I have to go. Apparently, I have to
Where
go.
is that?
It's in like New Mexico or
Yeah, I think so.
There's all sorts of things. We could make a total road trip out of this.
New Mexico. It's in New Mexico.
Awesome.
Alamogordo, New Mexico, the world's largest pistachio.
Yep.
Learn something new every day on this show.
And fraud facts.
All right.
And but again though, a bookkeeper, $1.5 million over the span of possibly 8 years, but probably less.
For a nonprofit that's supposed to help people adopt kids, which is the saddest part. It's like the Florida one where the Florida Coalition of Domestic Violence paid their CEO like millions and millions of dollars instead of helping their victims. Those are the saddest ones, again, I'll say, to me.
Well, and I still think a lot of it has to do, and we all know that it has to do with too much trust in one person. But I also think that these nonprofits, sometimes all it takes is downloading a guide from the internet of good internal controls, or talking to a lone auditor out there who just wants to audit nonprofits. Hey, call me. But but no, in all seriousness, these things aren't that hard to discover if someone is asking the right questions. By the way, if you want to learn how to ask the right questions, get my book, Ask Better Questions, Get Better Answers, Perform Better. I'm sorry, I had to just say
I
that.
like
But no,
how you're
in all
just
seriousness.
get in there.
But in all seriousness, this one, if it wasn't for a savvy bank employee, if she had just stuck to wire transfer, she may have been able to do this for quite some time.
I have a question that maybe we could end on for everybody to think about is I want to know if you guys think that turnover, you know how like it used to be looked bad upon if places had turnover, if you were a job hopper, right? Or you replaced a person all the time, and it used to be like 7 years, you got to stay somewhere 7 years, whatever, everybody's different reasons. I think in positions like this, just like rotating external audit firms, people need to rotate bookkeepers. I'm sorry, but it's something where I think that it's a good practice to get somebody else's set of eyes on your books. And I think that should be something like places like nonprofits start doing. That's just my
Well,
opinion.
I call that the surprise and delight. So, like, mix it up. Like,
Yeah.
literally have mystery shop your nonprofit. Have
Mhm.
someone come in and make $100 cash donation. Mystery shop. Mix people up.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know?
That. And like my nonprofit that I'm on the board for, they have a treasurer who does the books, but then they hire, every year a bookkeeper to come in and quote unquote audit the books. Just make sure you're doing things right. You're categorizing things right. I just think it's a good idea to get into practice of doing those things. All right, that's my soapbox for the day.
All right. So now, speaking of internal control guides, Thomas has an internal control guide that you can download, and it walks you through some best practices that you should have in your business. Thomas, you can drop the link in either here now or in the replay, my friend, and people can download your internal control guide. Now,
Yes.
Dan the man is here, and Dan says, North Carolina State ERM Group produced an excellent publication, Getting Started with ERM, a guide for nonprofits. You know they did, and they've been really at the forefront of ERM for years. They do a very good job of putting out very good publications. Their courses are very good. Yeah, that is a very good resource. All right. Before we get out of here, as promised, level up internal audit. This is the summit offering you 5 free FREE hours of quality CPE. You are going to see some names that you know and love from all over the globe. Again, Joe and I will be there. And also Joe with the E will be there as well. Who else is going to be there, Joe, that we know? There's a lot of
Rainier.
people. Yeah, Lanier is going to be there. Yeah.
Let's see who else. I don't know. Go to the website. I can't remember all those people. I think the best part of this event, though, is that we're each only doing 30 minutes.
Yes.
So we're never going to get bored. You're getting a new topic and a new person every 30 minutes. And I think that's something unique about this one that you guys will enjoy. So that's my fun plug for this one. So I'll drop. Did you already drop the website in the chat?
I did.
Okay, so it's in there. Level Up Internal Audit Summit. There's lots of good people on it. Tons.
Yeah. Lots of good people from all over the globe. So if you can, be sure to sign up and check it out. It's February 16th and 17th from 6 to 9 p.m. We are going to have a bunch of fun. And Pozo says that she is also looking forward to the summit. It is an opportunity for us to mingle, meet one another, learn from one another, and to have a very, very, very good time. On that note, Kelly, Joe, any last words? What are you guys up to? Any last words?
No, I'm looking forward to the weekend.
I'm not going to be here next week. Sorry, I just realized I'm not going to be here next week, I don't think. So who in the chat wants to play Kelly? You have to work.
Yeah.
And Joe. Joe's on the school field trip next Friday.
Oh, wait, you know what? I already have guest hosts for next Friday.
Oh, that's right. We told him already, Kelly. He's on it.
That's right.
Oh. Okay. Think of me because I will be on a field trip with hundreds of little fifth graders. So everybody just take 10 seconds during next Friday Fraudster and say a little Joe prayer, okay? Thanks.
We are going to have a moment of silence. But yes, next week, Galena and Thomas will be guest hosts.
Good job.
Thank you for stepping up, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Galena and Thomas will be guest hosts. So, all right. Thank you guys for joining us on episode number 42. And remember, go over to FridayFraudster.com if you want some CPE credit for watching some of these episodes. And we'll see you guys later.